morning, everybody. My name is Prentice, and I was just coming on here real quick this morning to speak to you all about something I saw. And I don't know how many people have ever heard of the 40 acres and a mule, the field order that Sherman, the Union general, gave lands to formerly enslaved African people of descent back in 1866, and it was like 400,000 acres of land along the eastern coast, but it was divided between like I want to say 40,000 or 4,000 some slaves. It broke down to like 40 acres and give them those old mules. But it all stemmed from something I read called the Homestead Act of 1862, where they gave poor property owning 21-year-old, it really applied to how a state got statehood. You had to be 18 or 21 years old, white property owning male. Didn't apply to free blacks, enslaved blacks, white women, none of that. It basically just was for white males to get homestead acts. And after the 1862 Act and the Emancipation Proclamation too was written in like 1865, then came the 1866 field order for those slaves. But you had to have tilled the land for 5 years, which those enslaved did, but it was technically considered not their land, so they did, all this other stuff. So all you had to be 21-year-old property owning, all this stuff. Black folks weren't allowed to read. They definitely weren't in a majority allowed to own property, so they were at a disadvantage there. And then they had other things called grandfather clauses too, saying if your parents, and all them were enslaved or something, then which was our lineage and ancestral lineage, for centuries, generations within, you can't vote and all these other things. Literacy Act, poll taxes, and literacy tests. Like you aren't allowed to read, so you don't know how to read. You're illiterate. Well, you can't vote. And there's a lot of white folks that say, we pulled ourselves on a bootstrap and we did this or whatever. But I'll just tell you guys a quick story. That's not true. And a lot of the cases, that's definitely not true. Fast forward to today, I saw a group of little black boys. They had a lemonade stand in a town where the median income is probably under 30,000 or something. These kids had them a big jug of, I'm gonna be honest, it was hot, lemonade and stuff, but they were out there trying to be entrepreneurial, And so, I had a few dollars in my pocket. I gave these kids it. I saw them another day. They were there. A car full of white folks pulled up in like a nice car or whatever and stuff, and they rolled down the window and they gave these kids something. But what I saw was the difference between them pulling up in a nice car and these kids out here trying to sell hot lemonade to make a few dollars. The economic disparity and wealth gaps is crazy. Y'all have a good day.